Leaders from 8 Amazonian countries are holding a final day of talks in Brazil aimed at coordinating their response to deforestation. It's the first time the Amazon Cooperation Treaty Organization has met in 14 years. A joint declaration has already announced an alliance of intent, but stops short of a binding joint commitment to act on deforestation. Climate activists say the deal lacks concrete measures. Well, Bram Ibus is a criminologist and investigative journalist who reports on Latin America and joins me now live from Belém in Brazil. Good to talk to you, Bram. Thanks for joining us. Brazil is clearly the leading country on any forest protection legislation at the moment. What success do you think it's having or going to have with this alliance of nations?
Well, yesterday the joint declaration was announced after a presidential summit in Belém do Pará, which is a Brazilian city at the mouth of the Amazon River. The declaration definitely is a step in the right direction, but will be nothing more than ink on paper if a plan with clear goals, a roadmap and resources for its implementation is not developed. We know there's a very small window of time, politically speaking, with both progressive presidents in Brazil and Colombia with the environment very high up on the agenda. They need to act quickly. At least as positive, the security and the impact of illicit economies is prioritized in the summit. However, we feel that cooperation is still lacking, and unfortunately there was no clear goal of zero deforestation by 2030, which is what we've hoped for.
But looking at the last year, all the member countries say they're committed to combating illegal activities, and indeed the figures for the past year have been encouraging. How much do you think that is law enforcement responsible for that?
There are several factors, of course. We've had a very rough few years in Brazil with Bolsonaro as president, who rather turned a blind eye to illicit economies contributing to deforestation. So we definitely saw a drop in Brazil. We also saw a drop in Colombia. But we know that the wildfire season, the months of burning forests for agricultural purposes is impending.
Is there a need for different member countries to cooperate more? I mean, particularly on fighting crime?
Absolutely. I've been coordinating a journalistic alliance called Amazon Underworld, with which we looked into crime dynamics in the Amazon, and we mapped the presence of criminal organizations and non-state armed groups. And we found that 70% of the Amazon municipalities are already taken by crime, and oftentimes the governments are absent. When we look at these cross-border criminal networks, we see that urban gangs from Brazil cooperate and collaborate with Colombian guerrilla organizations despite linguistic and cultural barriers. There's a sort of criminal diplomacy in the Amazon from which the respective governments definitely can learn.
I mean, out of all these member countries that we see in the alliance, Colombia, Ecuador, Venezuela and others, is there a weak link in there?
There are several weak links. There are several governments less committed to environmental protection, and we sometimes fear that they might use the Amazon Summit for greenwashing their image. We know, for example, in southern Venezuela, that there is a direct link between illicit economies, non-state armed groups, especially Colombian guerrilla factions, and corrupted law enforcement officers who are collaborating to reap the illegal riches from the Amazon, especially when it comes to illegal gold mining.
Bram, thanks very much indeed. Bram Ibus there live for us in Brazil.